Good morning, Amatik Rumi bring you the news on Gold FM.
The news headlines on Gold FM.
Former Sri Lankan CEO Kapila Chandrasena arrested. US strikes 6,000 targets in Iran. Sanctioned Russian oil purchases allowed. Government's long delay in appointing an envoy to Iran criticized. No confidence motion against Energy Minister next week.
The top story on Gold FM.
The Fort Magistrates Court ordered the remand of former Sri Lankan Airlines Chief Executive Officer Kapila Chandrasena until the 19th of this month, following his arrest by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. The arrest followed an extensive 9-hour statement regarding a multi-million-dollar procurement deal. Investigations state that Chandrasena, while serving as the chairman of the Airbus Procurement Committee, allegedly conspired with his wife and others to establish a front company in Brunei to facilitate bribes. Authorities claim the suspects opened bank accounts in Singapore to receive nearly 1.455 million euros from a separate entity. This money allegedly moved through various channels, including Chandrasena's personal accounts at the Commonwealth Bank of Australia and accounts belonging to a former director of Sri Lankan Airlines.
This is the local news on Gold FM.
The Sri Lankan government was not serious in appointing an ambassador to Iran, a position that has been vacant since late 2024. This is according to Mohammad Shahid, Sri Lanka's last ambassador appointed to the Islamic Republic. Speaking to us, he commented on various developments in the recent past, including the sinking of Iran's Iris Dana in Sri Lankan waters. Firstly, he started by expressing confidence in Iran's capabilities over the United States.
But they are still using their old artilleries and drones. They have been underground storage and they have been collecting it and they have enough and more. I think even if this war goes for another 1 or 2 years, perhaps America may exhaust its weaponry.
So you think America will exhaust their artillery before Iran does?
Some of the defense analysts from the states, they are saying because you are wasting our weaponry for no reason, because they said that there was no problem between Iran and America. Iran never did anything against America.
It was recently that the government approved the appointment of Professor M.I. Faziha Azmi as the ambassador to Iran. The position remaining vacant until then was criticized by the former ambassador.
I think that the Sri Lankan government was not very serious in appointing a representative in Iran, because they could have done so soon after I came back from there. But I was called before I completed my stint because of the change of the government. I always feel that there may be change of governments, but of course it should not affect the diplomatic relationship with another country just because the government has changed. But you must give them at least 3 to 6 months until such time you go through the process of appointing another diplomat. The diplomat who is holding office on the station should continue. I must tell you this. Now, during the last 12 days of war, we had some Sri Lankan students in some of the universities in Iran. They contacted me, but they said, you are not here, but can you help? But then I spoke to the ambassador, Indian ambassador. Luckily, I had some close relationship with the Indian ambassador, and I spoke to him, and then he said, look, there's only 6 or 7 students. I have got more than 500 to 600 students who are studying in Iranian universities. And he said, I will take them also along. So, in a situation, we may have 5 persons or 10 or 15 or maybe less, but we must have our representative in the station in order to help.
With US sinking the Iranian vessel Iris Dana in Sri Lankan waters, the defense pact signed by Sri Lanka with India and the United States came under scrutiny. With regard, this is what Shahid had to say.
We must in the first instance find out what is the agreement that Sri Lanka signed with the United States recently. What is the agreement that Sri Lanka signed with the Indian government recently? Why they have not put it out?
Do you think these defense corporations are playing a part?
That has a serious impact on the relationship with Iran. I think so.
When quizzed whether Sri Lanka was pressured by the US in rescuing the sailors from the sunken vessel, he had this response.
The truth is yet to come, but the fact remains what we hear from members of parliament, from the President members of parliament, in what they speak, because that is only
MP Mujibur Rahman.
Mujibur Rahman and various others. But we see that there was 11 hours of delay after they received the distress call. But according to the international law, then if there was a distress call, then our support should have gone immediately. The delay of 9 or 11 hours could not save the life of about 80 people who have died, who are on the board.
Finally, he commented on the government's delayed response towards the assassination of Iran's former supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
I think it's disgrace because the Sri Lankan government stand this time because now a country's leader, religious leader has been killed, and the Sri Lankan government was taking 2 days even to say that they are condoling with the demise of the religious leader who was killed. I think for Sri Lanka. But Sri Lanka is a neutral country. It's a non-aligned country. Non-aligned doesn't mean that you have to keep silence. At least to the extent of expressing condolence or to condemn the brutal attack, I think Sri Lanka is so helpless.
Do you think we are not neutral right now?
We have not done it because after the opposition members made hue and cry in parliament, and the Prime Minister said, I'm going today to the Iranian embassy to sign the condolence book. Anybody and everybody can go and sign the condolence book and say various things about what they feel. But as a government, it has a moral duty, and as a government which is non-aligned, but in a situation like that where the Iran had helped us a lot, and we should have expressed our condemnation in strong sense.
Sri Lanka is one of the countries that requested petroleum products from India. This was said by the spokesperson of the Indian Ministry of External Affairs, Randhir Jaiswal. This comes against a backdrop of growing disruptions in global fuel supplies due to the ongoing Middle East conflict triggered by the war between US, Israel and Iran. Taking this situation into account, Sri Lanka had to raise fuel prices, and the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation also urged the public to use fuel sparingly. Addressing the weekly media briefing of the Indian External Affairs Ministry, this is what the spokesperson had to say.
India is a major exporter of refined petroleum products, especially to our neighborhood. We have received a request from the government of Bangladesh for supply of diesel, which is being examined. Diesel exports to Bangladesh have largely continued since 2017. India's refining capacity, our own requirements and diesel availability will be factored in while taking decisions. In addition, I would also like to say that we have received such requests from several other countries, including Sri Lanka and Maldives, and these are being examined, taking into account our own energy requirements and availability that we have.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa convened an emergency meeting in Colombo yesterday with foreign policy experts and academics to discuss the domestic fallout from the Middle East conflict. He emphasized the necessity of a legislative framework to strengthen foreign policy during global instability. During the session, the opposition leader proposed 4 urgent priorities: declaring a national energy emergency, protecting overseas workers and their remittances, securing the export economy through a maritime insurance scheme, and maintaining genuine diplomatic neutrality. Additionally, he called for government accountability to ensure the working class does not bear the burden of rising energy costs or the 18% digital VAT tax scheduled for April. Parliamentarian Ajith P. Pereira announced that the Samagi Jana Balawega plans to submit a no-confidence motion against Energy Minister Kumara Jayakodi on the 18th of this month. Speaking to Hiru News, the MP stated that the motion rests on 2 primary allegations, and in the interest of clarity, we refrain from dubbing his remarks.
බලශක්ති ඇමතිවරයාට විරුද්ධව විශ්වාසභංග යෝජනාවක් අරන් ඒමට සමගි ජන බලවේගය තීරණය කළා තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව කෙටුම්පත් කිරීමේ කටයුතු දැන් සිදු වෙලා තියෙනවා. ලබන සඳුදා විපක්ෂයේ සියලුම පක්ෂවල පක්ෂ කණ්ඩායම් රැස්වීම පැවැත්වෙනවා. එතෙන්දී විපක්ෂයේ සියලුම පක්ෂවල සහාය ලබාගෙන මෙම යෝජනාව ඉදිරිපත් කිරීමටයි අපි කල්පනා කරන්නේ. 18 වෙනිදා මේ විශ්වාසභංග යෝජනාව බාර දීම තමයි අපි දැන්ට සැලසුම් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඊටම බරපතල දූෂණ ක්‍රියා දෙකක් සම්බන්ධව බලශක්ති ඇමතිවරයා කුමාර ජයකොඩි වගකීම් යුතු වෙනවා. එක දැනටමත් අල්ලස් සහ දූෂණ නිවාරණ කොමිසම තීරණය කළා තියෙනවා. බැලූ බැලමට සාක්ෂි තියෙනවා කියලා කුමාර ජයකොඩි මහත්මයා කලින් රැකියාව කරපු හොර සංස්ථාවේදී ඔහු කරපු බරපතල දූෂණයක් පිළිබඳව. ඒ පිළිබඳව අධිචෝදනා පත්‍රය දැන් ගොනු කරලා තියෙනවා කොළඹ මහාධිකරණයේ. කියන්නේ බැලූ බැලමට දූෂණය වරද සිදු කර ඇති බවට රාජ්‍ය විමර්ශන ආයතනයකින් තීරණය කළා තියෙනවා. එවැනි පුද්ගලයෙක් මෙවැනි බරපතල තනතුරක් දැරීම කිසිසේත් සුදුසු වෙන්නේ නැහැ. 2025-26 ගල්ලංගුරු වාරය සඳහා ගල්ලංගුරු විලදී ගැනීමේ ටෙන්ඩරය කළමනාකරණය කිරීමේදී ඔහු අසමත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ නිසා දැනටමත් රුපියල් බිලියන 10කට වැඩි පාඩු සිදු වෙලා තියෙනවා. සිදු වෙන පාඩුව තම ගණන් කරලා අවසන් නැහැ. ඔහුගේ කළමනාකරණය අසමත් වීම වගේම අත්දැකීම් නැති පළපුරුද්දක් නැති සමාගමක් මෙම ක්‍රියාවලියට එකතු කර ගැනීම නිසා ඇති වුණු බරපතල ජාතික අර්බුදයක්. මේ පිළිබඳව ඔහු වගකීම් යුතු වෙනවා. ජනාධිපතිවරයාට යුතුකමක් තියෙනවා. විශ්වාස භංගය ඉදිරිපත් වෙන්න කලින් වුණත් මේ අමාත්‍යවරයාව ධෝරණය ඉවත් කරලා වගකීම් යුතු විශ්වාසවන්ත දක්ෂකම් තියෙන චරිතවත් ඇමතිවරයෙක්ව මේ තනතුරට පත් කරනවා.
Investigations into the 10 billion rupee drug seizure in southern waters reveal links to overseas-based traffickers known as Paravi Sudha and Angoda Priyankara. Police suspect these individuals funded a 23-year-old skipper aboard the multi-day fishing vessel Hansanam to coordinate the transport of narcotics and 11 unused firearms. The recovered cash includes 8 pistols, 1 M16 rifle and 2 T-56 assault rifles found across 2 intercepted boats. The operation began on the 10th of the month when the Navy detained an initial vessel carrying over 600 kilograms of drugs and 5 suspects, followed by the arrest of a second craft and 5 additional individuals for providing assistance.
Now for some news in brief.
The Department of Meteorology says that showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in Gaul, Matara, Kandy and Noralia districts after 2 p.m. today.
The business news on Gold FM.
And now it's time for a stock market update brought to you by Roshan Fernando of Capital Trust Securities.
The stock market extended its decline as escalating Middle East tensions weighted heavily on investor sentiments. The all-share price index dropped 363 points to close at 21,988, which is 1.63% down. Meanwhile, the S&P 20 index also dropped 107 points to close at 6,172, which is 1.71% down. Turnover recorded 4.11 billion rupees. Trading momentum was led by Mesa Corp, ACL Cables, Lanka Credit and Business Finance. Sector-wise, activity was concentrated on capital goods, diversified and food and beverages. Total 194 stocks declined, while 31 stocks gained, mainly driven by losses in John Keells Holdings, HMB Bank and Mesa Corp.
International news on Gold FM.
The United States Central Command announced it has struck approximately 6,000 targets inside Iran since the start of Operation Epic Fury last month. According to a recently released fact sheet, the military campaign has damaged or destroyed over 90 Iranian vessels, including 30 specialized mine layers, using a combination of strategic bombers, drones and naval assets. Meanwhile, foreign media quoting multiple sources stated that the Pentagon and National Security Council significantly underestimated Iran's willingness to close the Strait of Hormuz in response to US military strikes while planning the ongoing operation. The sources state that President Donald Trump's national security team failed to fully account for the potential consequences of what some officials have described as a worst-case scenario now facing the administration. In the meantime, the US has authorized countries to buy sanctioned Russian oil and petroleum that's currently loaded on vessels at sea. US Treasury Department Secretary Scott Bessent said it was a temporary measure to promote stability in global energy markets during the war. The authorization will last until the 11th of April. Meanwhile, the Israeli military said it launched several waves of strikes in Beirut and southern Lebanon targeting Hezbollah infrastructure. In a Telegram update, the Israel Defense Forces says it struck several command centers used to advance attacks against Israel.
Entertainment news on Gold FM.
Jack Osborne and his wife Ari have welcomed a baby girl named Ozzy Matilda Osborne, honoring his late father Ozzy Osborne, who passed away 8 months ago. The 40-year-old revealed the pregnancy after leaving the I'm a Celebrity jungle last December, described the news as a healthy distraction and partly healing following his father's death. Ozzy Matilda joins siblings Maple, 3 and 3 older daughters from Jack's previous marriage to Lisa Stelly.
Sports news on Gold FM.
Wesley College and Mahanam College face off this afternoon in the third pre-quarter final of the school's Rugby Knockouts 2026. The match takes place at the Royal College Sports Complex with a scheduled kickoff at 4:15 p.m. That's it for the news. I'm Atik Rumi. Have a great day.